What's up, guys? You probably read the title and thought, no way my King Breakaway could ever have an embarrassing experience. And I wish that were the case. Unfortunately, my parents gave me the nickname Bear back when I was in middle school, not because of how awesome I was or how huge I was, but because of how clumsy I was.
Oh, watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
This story starts when I was about 16 years old. I was maybe 5'8", 5'9", and I was really into hooping because my dad loves basketball and it rubbed off on me. I would play with a friend, let's call him Bob, and Bob and I would play during lunch every day for about 2 to 3 months. Now one day Bob comes up to me and he asks me if I would like to start practicing ball for real. So we set ourselves a goal, and at that point in time, that goal was to dunk on a 10-foot hoop within a month of starting, which is practically impossible, right? Unless you've got godly genetics, there's no way on earth you'll ever be able to dunk that. Even a blind man could see that. But Bob and I must have been seeing things on the ultraviolet wavelength because we believed with all our hearts that we would be able to dunk if we trained enough for a month. Now, do keep in mind that the last time I had practiced basketball seriously was when I was 9. So for about the next month, I followed a plyometric workout I found on Instagram, and I practically worshipped that thing. But I trained almost every day just to improve my vert. I went from being able to jump a little bit higher than 3 inches to being able to put my palm on the ceiling, and that made me feel unstoppable. I went from thinking, hey, I'm pretty good at this, to I'll be able to dunk no problem. And the very second I accomplished my goal, I was straight up moving like Vegeta in the Saiyan saga, believing he had finally become a Super Saiyan. But much like Vegeta in the Saiyan saga, that couldn't have been further from the truth. Because when we got to the court, the first thing I noticed was that the hoop was so much taller than the one I had in school. Now for reference, the school's hoop was an adjustable hoop, which was actually set to 8 feet. So this new hoop had me doubting myself for a little bit, but because of all my plyometric training, my ego was through the roof. I wholeheartedly believed that I could still land a dunk. Bob and I started warming up, and we ran the ones real quick just to see who would go first. I fought the hard fight, but Bob managed to get the upper hand and went first. Bob unfortunately totally misses the net because he's a whole head shorter than me, but his loss really did wonders for restoring my lost confidence. I immediately start talking trash and laughing at Bob, which he doesn't seem to appreciate, and he punts the ball towards me, which I catch with absolutely no effort at all. And while doing so, Bob also bets $10 that I wouldn't be able to make the dunk. This made me lock in immediately because $10 may not seem like a lot, but as a teenager, that was basically a whole day's worth of food. So I was pumped. Giving Bob BTA and getting free cash was pretty much hitting the jackpot. So I take the ball and I can hear the crowd cheering my name in my head. I've got the ball in my hands like I'm Ichigo after getting Bankai, and I run up to the hoop, and with my 4 weeks of plyometrics training behind me, I jump just to completely miss the hoop. Now as I'm falling, because I very much did miss the hoop, I try my best to grab onto the rim to try to pull myself up with one arm and windmill the ball. However, my fingers completely miss and end up stuck in the net, which throws me off because not only is it dawning on me that I've lost $10, but I also lost any bit of aura I had or will ever have. Now I'm still falling with my hands stuck in the net, but the net is so old and so crusty, and I'm just such a big guy that the rope of the net snaps in half and just completely separates from the rim. It doesn't stop there though, because not only did the net get eviscerated, but what used to be the net starts raining down on me, and I swear some of it gets in my mouth. This obviously freaks me out because now I'm falling, covered in dust, and my whole body locks up. Now if you know anything about falling, you're not supposed to stiffen up when you fall because it actually makes the impact worse. Unfortunately for me, I was as stiff as a board, which at that point in time was the worst thing I could have done because I fell straight down towards the floor onto my left ankle before the rest of my body followed it and hit the floor. I'm shaken by the whole sequence of events, and I get up, my whole body's aching. Bob comes up to me looking kind of concerned, asking me if I'm good, but since I was way too cool to feel pain, I just shrug it off and tell him it was no biggie. He tells me we could call off the bet, but I'm a man of my word, so I get up to get my wallet, and as I'm doing so, I realize that my ankle really hurts. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 5, which is about 2 higher than it should have been, and I figured I sprained my ankle, so I end up walking in a way that lessens the pain. Unfortunately for me, Bob sees this and starts telling me I'm walking like a pigeon, which I do not appreciate. So I give him his cash, and I start to make my way back home. But we both sort of live in the same area, so he's following me back the whole time. And he takes a video of me walking, which he shows to my parents. That made them laugh too. And I lost so much aura, and this memory became a core memory. The PTSD I got from that day made me give up on dunking. And in conclusion, that pretty much wraps up what was and still is the most embarrassing practice session I've ever had.
Call me on my cell phone. Late night when you need my